in St. Louis, and happy to see Joe Gibbs back on the sideline for the Washington Redskins. That just seems right. And the Rams are taking the field here in St. Louis, getting ready to take on Joe Gibbs. And now welcome to our happy little home here in this dome. I'm Johnny Bagpipes Jr. along with Troy Aikman and Chris Collinsworth. Troy, you've got the Washington Redskins here. You've got action. You've got excitement. You've got Joe Gibbs back. But his main question headed for opening day on the 12th against Tampa Bay is who's going to be the quarterback? Mark Brunell, the big money guy they brought in, or the guy who starts tonight, Patrick Ramsey?
Well, Joe, you go back to the great years under Joe Gibbs, and the one thing they always had was a veteran guy at the quarterback position. So what does Joe Gibbs do once he goes out and gets the job? He signs Mark Brunell to a big contract. He doesn't give him the job. It's open competition. But Mark Brunell clearly has outplayed Patrick Ramsey here in the preseason. You take a look at Patrick Ramsey, the starter from last year, took a beating in that system under Steve Spurrier. That will not be the case in Joe Gibbs' offense. Protection comes first. He gets an opportunity tonight to be the starter, and he's going to have to play better than what he's shown in these first two preseason games in order to get back into the mix.
It was hard to watch Ramsey take that beating last year. You know who the quarterback is here in St. Louis, Chris Collinsworth? It's now Bulger, not Warner, but how good are the Rams anymore?
You know, I don't know. After watching them last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, they didn't look very good at all. And you say, oh, big deal. It's a second preseason game, and what does that matter? But really, when you look a little deeper, and I agree with the guys in the studio, this offensive line is really the question. They've already lost Kyle Turley to the season because of that back injury, and Orlando Pace is nowhere to be found. They can't even get him on the telephone. They're not sure where he is. So anytime you're that unsettled in the offensive line, really adds a lot of pressure to your quarterback, Mark Bulger. And, of course, he's already trying to get out from underneath the shadow, that long shadow cast by Kurt Warner all the way from New York City.
The first-string unit for the St. Louis Rams under Mark Bulger has not scored a touchdown so far this preseason, so they'll try to lick their wounds, get up off the deck, and play better than they did on Monday night in Kansas City. It'll be the Redskins, led by Joe Gibbs. Our look at Clinton Portis taking on the Rams. Marshall Faulk is back. We're glad you're with us on Fox.
Fox Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
You get 4 for the price of 1. Actually, it's free. It's on over-the-air television tonight here on Fox, the Redskins and the Rams. Let's go down to the 4th member of this group, Pam Oliver.
All right, Joe, countdown to the start of the regular season, and already the anticipation surrounding Joe Gibbs and the Washington Redskins off the charts. His 11 years away from the game really hasn't seemed to dampen the enthusiasm and the expectations of the Washington faithful, who frankly feel like they have suffered enough. So will success be automatic? The man with the Midas touch doesn't even think so.
I think I got to prove myself all over again. That's the way I'm looking at it, and we're trying to build something. And I tell everybody the past only gives you some memories, you know, and it's great, and I love those memories, but that has nothing to do with today and our players today.
And furthermore, Gibbs says those 11 years away from the game, he barely even thought about football. Well, now, Joe, of course, that's all he does, and people are really anxious to see the result of that. Back to you.
All right, Pam, thank you. I thought it was interesting when he told us that he really felt like he couldn't turn his back on the Washington Redskins franchise. He had another team that was interested in him. I think he took everybody by surprise when he said, okay, I'll come back, especially his wife. And he wanted to come back to Washington. He had these clandestine meetings with all these different assistant coaches, and here he is, and he's got a lot to answer to. He doesn't want to be embarrassed this season.
And, you know, he's such a religious guy, and he said, you know, I just think I'm sort of following God's plan, and God's plans to have me come back to the Washington Redskins. And then he sort of gave a little aside, and he said, of course, God's plan may include my getting my butt kicked out here. I'm not sure. So he knows what he's getting himself into, and looking forward to the challenge.
God's plan also included a terrific assistant coaching staff for the Washington Redskins. Don Bro, who's Joe Gibbs' best friend, who is running this offense. And then he went out and he didn't really know Greg Williams at all. He had been a 3-year head coach with the Buffalo Bills. It didn't work out there. He had a meeting at 1:30 in the morning in the home of Greg Williams. His wife was there on a frigid night in Buffalo, and Williams had a few questions for him and some things that he wanted answered and some things that he wanted if he was going to come to Washington. And Gibbs said, "Is that it? Sure, then I guess that means you're going to be a Washington Redskin." And that was news to his wife. She was happy to hear that all those stipulations that they had talked about prior to Gibbs' arrival were going to be included, and here they are. And he's really excited about the group he has on defense.
He really is, Joe. Yeah, that came through last night when we were visiting with him. He's excited about not only the group that he has on defense, but he's excited about the opportunity to work for Joe Gibbs.
Away we go. It'll be an early look at Patrick Ramsey and this Washington Redskins offense as Morton takes it for this Rams team, which for the past 3 or 4 years has had a tough time covering kicks. Not much of a return, only 14 yards from Morton. Here comes Patrick Ramsey. And the key is he was pounded last year, sacked 30 times. And when you just talk about sacks, it doesn't include the times he was just pasted after he got a pass away. Look at the offensive line, and it's Ray Brown, the veteran, who was all of 41 years old, starting at right guard in place of Randy Thomas, who injured his neck and is not playing tonight. They roll Ramsey out to the right. He fires to Gardner. 1 for 1 is Ramsey in a gain of 8.5 on the first play from scrimmage for the Redskins.
We touched on it briefly about the protection that Patrick Ramsey is going to get in this system. It's very quarterback friendly. Joe Gibbs told us that if our quarterback gets hit in this offense, somebody made a mistake. Everything that they do is based on protecting the quarterback, and they're going to make sure that that guy's standing.
2nd down and 1. Clinton Portis got a lot of work at Miami in their last game, and Clinton Portis buries his head, tries to pick up a 1st down, and he has it. Fresh set for the Redskins. We look at the defense for the Rams, a team that was very poor in the second half of the year last year, stopping the run, and they will have their hands full tonight with this Redskins offensive line and Clinton Portis in particular. Brandon Chiller gets the start. He is a 4th-round draft pick out of UCLA. In the secondary, they will miss Travis Fisher. This is a very suspect group. On 1st down, it's Portis. Not much. Well covered up front, only a gain of 2. Brandon Chiller was in on the stop.
Patrick Ramsey was talking a little bit about his years with Steve Spurrier, and he said all my friends were telling me they took a couple of years off my life with all the hits I took last season. Then they hired Joe Gibbs, and I felt like I got those years back. He's pretty excited about being in an offense with all the hot reads and the protection schemes and the ways they protect the quarterback in this offense.
From the blue line to the yellow line, that's where the Redskins are trying to go. Penalty flag is down on the play, and Clinton Portis is hit and hit hard at the 45 after a gain of only 3. Jerry Austin is our referee tonight. And he has a quizzical look at his line judge, who says,
illegal formation. Receiver moved off the line of scrimmage without a back moving up. 5 yards. Repeat 2nd down.
Well, and that's something that the NFL has placed an emphasis on this year. You've got to get guys covered up. You've got to get 7 guys on the offensive line, or they're going to call it. What we're already seeing early in this ball game are the things that Joe Gibbs was known for back when he was coaching before. A lot of shifts, a lot of movements, multiple tight ends, multiple formations. Those are the things that he's known for, and those are the things that he believes in.
On 2nd down, Ramsey is in trouble, dumps it off to Portis. And a good play by Butler, who was the first to get there, a gain of only 1.
The one thing that we are seeing out of the Rams already is a team that I think was embarrassed a week ago against Kansas City, and they are coming. They're getting penetration. They're getting pressure on Patrick Ramsey. Of course, this is a screen, so they were able to get the thing out of there. But I think the Rams had a little something to prove in this ball game today. They're coming back before the home folks. It was a tough week in the press and the media and with the fans this week, and they come out pretty fired up for this one.
Jerry Austin, while we were showing the replay, Called out to the crowd and illegal hands to the face. So a penalty on that play against St. Louis. And that'll bring up an automatic first down. So first down from just outside their own 41. That's James Thrash. One of the new wide receivers for the Redskins moving. This is a handoff to Liddell Betts, and what a big night this is for Betts, who hasn't played because of a hamstring injury. And Betts is brought down right at the first down marker, and it'll be a fresh set for Washington.
Sorry, Joe, and that's one of the strengths really of this offensive team right now is that running back. A lot of competition there. Who's going to make this team? As you mentioned, Liddell Betts has been injured. This is his first action in the preseason. Really a gifted player, but they have to go off of what they see in these preseason games. He's hopeful to show something tonight and next week in order to be a part of this team.
It's preseason for our Fox box on the top of your screen. That's why it hasn't been in, as Betts meets Tyoka Jackson. Hey, does anybody think that Patrick Ramsey has a realistic shot of being the starting quarterback on opening day on the 12th against Tampa Bay?
I don't. I just don't think that you pay Mark Brunell the kind of money that you paid him. And you look at the history of Joe Gibbs, and Joe Gibbs is all about veteran quarterbacks, and that's the reason that he made the move. And I don't think it has anything to do with the physical skills of Patrick Ramsey. He just likes the veteran guys that have been there before.
Second down and 8. Handoff is to Betts. They're working him hard, and Betts was hitting the backfield. This has been a good start for Bryce Fisher, who's trying to take the spot of Grant Wistrom, who got a ridiculously large amount of money to go up to Seattle.
Yeah, and one thing we know is the Redskins are going to run a lot of this counter gap. That's what Joe Gibbs likes to do, and the way you defeat that is you penetrate on the offensive side of the ball, which is what Bryce Fisher is able to do. They're not able to get him down with the block. Bryce Fisher comes through, makes a tackle. It's the number one thing that'll tear up that play.
Third down and 7. Four-man rush for St. Louis. The pass is nearly picked off, and now a penalty flag in the area of roughing the passer. Damian Lewis was there, and Jerry Austin threw the flag.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. 92 of the defense, 15 yards, automatic first down.
It's going to start early this season. They're going to protect the quarterbacks as they always do. Step late, no question about it. Damian Lewis is a guy on this Rams defense. I think the spotlight is shining pretty brightly on him this year. Jimmy Kennedy, the #1 draft pick a year ago, is out with a foot injury. Brian Young's a free agent to the New Orleans Saints. And so Damian Lewis now doesn't have a net. He really needs to be the guy getting it done this season, and Bill Kohler is going to wear him out for that one.
Yeah, and that's 2 third downs now where the Rams defense has stopped them, but due to penalty, the Redskins have been able to keep the drive going.
Larry Marmee is the new defensive coordinator for Mike Martz. Coming over from Arizona as Ramsey rolls and fires and hits Gardner for another Redskins first down. So penalties have kept this drive alive for the Redskins. And Ramsey and Washington trying to take advantage of it.
You know, you talk about protection first and how they want to protect their quarterbacks here. One of the ways that they do that is they like to move the quarterback. Obviously, Patrick Ramsey's not a big move guy, but they just slide it a little bit. Don't let the defense know where he's going to be. And then you've got him running the route. Gardner on the outside doing a good job of getting separation for the completion.
Nice little push at the end of that route, too.
On first down, it's Liddell Betts. Brought down by Pisa Tinoe Samoa after a gain of 2.
And Troy, you hit on it a little bit, but the way that the Washington Redskins spread you out defensively with that 2 tight end set, your defense is a little thinner. And so what happens is the linebackers, and we saw Junior Seau last week for the Miami Dolphins do this a couple of times, have to run through. They have to guess. They have to try and figure out where that hole is and try to get to that play before they can get it turned up.
They were looking at the ankle of Clinton Portis moments ago. Second down and 8. For the first time, Ramsey rolls left and overthrows Thrash. He had James Thrash wide open, and that'll bring up third down.
Well, Joe, this is the second time we've seen James Thrash line up in the backfield and then motion out from the fullback position into a slot receiver spot. You'll see him right here. He's going to come out. He's going to get set up. It forces the defense to react. It then creates a one-on-one situation. Obviously, safety in the middle of the field here, knowing you've got one-on-one. And that's what allowed James Thrash to run the route to the corner and get open.
But Patrick Ramsey missed an easy throw right there, and that did not look good.
3rd down and 8. And now the play clock expires on Ramsey, and they throw the flag.
Well, that looked worse.
Before the snap, delay of game, offense, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
It's all part of it from the quarterback position, whether they get it in late or not. That's sort of on your hat, but it's interesting to see how James Thrash has moved up the depth chart on this football team. This is a team filled with good receivers, but Thrash, coming over from Philadelphia, has now solidified himself as the 3rd wideout, and the 3rd wideout plays a lot in this offense.
Hey, he's almost become like the H-back. You know, that's been Mike Sellers' job in there along with Chris Cooley, but that's where he's been playing tonight.
3rd down and 13. And a handoff is to Portis, stumbles forward. And he is just shy of the 10. It'll bring in 4th down, and John Hall onto the field to attempt the field goal.
How about the difference Clinton Portis is going to make on this football team? You know, you're so used to seeing that counter OT and all that stuff with big guys like John Riggins running it. Now, all of a sudden, they also have the additional weapon of being able to run a sweep. I was talking to Joe Bugle before the game, and he said, well, that's something we didn't even have in our playbook back in the days with Riggins. He refused to run it, and now it just stretches that defense a little more.
28-yard try for Hall. One of the bigger, better legs in the NFL, and that is in the category of a chip shot. So the Redskins, thanks to a couple of big penalties on the Rams defense, have a 10-play drive and come up with 3.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by Miller. Vote Miller for President of Beers. Good call.
That's what it would look like outside if there wasn't a dome over our heads, but there is. Also what it would look like if the stadium was in Illinois. 3-0, the Redskins are on top. 8:06 remaining in the first quarter, and now we'll get a look at the Rams offense. The 11th play of the drive was the field goal, a 28-yarder by Hall. And that's what Patrick Ramsey turned in, and now all eyes around here will be on big money Mark Bulger, who is the clear-cut guy now that Kurt Warner's trying to make it as the starter with the Giants. This is Arlen Harris. He gets out to the 21, and that is it. Antonio Pierce, who's been impressive so far in camp, downfield to make the stop. 3-0 Redskins. Rams ready to work. Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? It's Joe Bugle. He is back running the offensive line for Joe Gibbs.
With the Dirtbags.
With the Dirtbags, not the Hogs.
The Hogs that's no more. So now what happens to all the guys that have the hog costumes? They have to throw those away, or what happens with that?
I guess.
How do you dress as a dirtbag?
Really the only thing that represented a hog the other way with the dresses were the big noses. You know, I mean, I don't know what you all dress as vacuum cleaners.
All they have to do is take the hog nose off and they're dirt bags.
There you go.
Right?
They're in dresses. And
that's a good point.
Mark Bulger, 18-4, his career record as a starter. That includes 0-1 in the playoffs with the old double OT loss to the Carolina Panthers last year right here in this dome. Because of that performance, people were still about split on who the Rams should keep as their top guy, Bulger or Warner. Bulger steps up and fires, and it's incomplete. Manu Maliuna, the tight end, was the intended receiver. You know about Bulger. The offensive line is just not good right now because of injury and because of a holdout. The injury to Kyle Turley, he appears finished for the season. Dave Wohlabaugh out with a bad hip, and Orlando Pace for another training camp is sitting out waiting to sign his franchise tag offer of about $7 million for the year.
I wish somebody had made me a franchise player.
You wouldn't
Imagine
even have to
skipping
show
all
up
those
for this
training
game.
camps, man. That'd have been all right, wouldn't it,
Just
Troy?
show up for the regular season. 3rd down and 8. Blitz coming. Bulger stands in and fires behind Holt. And the catch is made for a 1st down.
You know, one thing about it is the last couple of weeks, Mark Bulger really has been under a lot of pressure. Kansas City came after him with a lot of pressure. You see a linebacker blitz there coming up the middle. He gets hit down low. And that's the thing as a coach you worry about. But when he's been in the pocket and he has had some time, he's been a little bit tentative getting the ball out. That one there to Torrey Holt was behind him.
What a catch.
Outstanding catch.
Man.
1st down up at the 40. A little flip to Bruce. He's going to throw. It's preseason. That's Holt. And even though he was bothered downfield by Springs, no flag.
Well, that's a great play down the field by Sean Springs. Jam Bailey couldn't have done it any better than that. You get the old dipsy-do. They're coming around. Looks like the reverse. And all Sean Springs did was just stay right with his guy all the way down the field and saved a touchdown.
Perfect throw by Isaac Bruce. And Holt trying to adjust to it a little bit. Could not come up with it. That'll bring up 2nd down and 10. The question is always in any preseason, how much do you want to show of your offense? And that's even the case with the play clock about to expire and the Rams having to use a timeout. They're used to that around here.
Timeout, St. Louis. Their 1st.
Jerry Austin takes us to break in St. Louis.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by Nissan and your Nissan dealer, by Singular, the wireless company that fits you best, and by NHTSA. Law enforcement is cracking down from coast to coast. You drink and drive, you lose.
Early moments of this game here in St. Louis. Washington went down the field, have an 11-play drive that was capped by a 28-yard field goal by John Hall. And now the Rams have it and are faced with 2nd down and 10 from their own 40. This Rams unit, the first group, directed by Mark Bulger, trying to find their first touchdown of the preseason. Handoff is to Falk. And Marshall picked up 3. Let's look at the defense for the Washington Redskins. Very poor against the run a year ago. They have 3 new starters up front. Tonight they're playing without Philip Daniels. They signed to a 4-year, $12 million deal after he was a cap casualty with the Bears. And he should add a lot. They love what Antonio Pierce can do in the middle, but he's only holding the fort from Mike Barrow. And you didn't see the name LeVar Arrington, who is out with a mild sprain to his left knee. There's Greg Williams, who takes over this defense. 3rd down and 7. Blitz coming again. That was Pierce coming, and that's a catch by Isaac Bruce right at midfield.
What a great job by Isaac Bruce, knowing that there's a guy there that's getting ready to hit him if he makes the catch, but he was able to get his hands on the ball. As you're going to see, he's running a crossing route. They bring pressure. He catches the ball, was able to protect himself just enough. Good job by Isaac Bruce.
Mike Martz has got to be thinking, here we go again. I mean, they're getting blitzed time and time again already. That's all that happened in Kansas City, and Martz was hot about that.
And he's going to be hot again today because he really wants to evaluate some of these young players, and you can't do it.
Marshall Falk stumbles forward, brought down at the 46, a gain of 4.
You know what happens, Joe, is when you're playing a team that wants to start blitzing you that much, if you were in the regular season, you would game plan things in order to block it up, but you don't have the time in preseason, in training camp, to get to all those types of protection schemes that are necessary. You want to go out and you want to see how the right guard blocks one-on-one, the left guard, the tackle, the receivers, and all that, and it becomes very difficult when you can't execute the offense because of a defense coming after you.
2nd down and 6. Another blitz and another completion. It's Isaac Bruce, good for 9.
Well, Mark Bulger really looks a lot more comfortable this week than what he did a week ago. And I know what it's like in the early preseason games. It's just your feet are a little unsettled. The pressure gets to you. You're not used to getting hit in practice. They always protect the quarterback. But he's planting that back foot this week, stepping into his throws, and really looks like a different guy.
That was Scott Tercero who rode Lamar Marshall, who was coming on the blitz out of the play. And if there's one bright spot on this offensive line for the Rams, it's been the emergence of Scott Tercero, who may end up the left guard. More extra men coming on a rush, and big pressure. Ronaldo Wynn on the sack and a loss of 5.
One of the big issues for this Redskins team a year ago was the lack of pressure up front. Ronaldo Wynn is just going to beat your guy that you just talked about, Tercero, right around the corner. But this is going to be a pretty good pass rushing team this year for Washington. Marcus Washington at the outside linebacker position. Phillip Daniels, a free agent. LeVar Arrington's going to be in that mix this year, rushing the passer. They really expect this to be a much better defense than what they had a season ago, especially in that front 7.
9 plays so far run by the Rams, 6 blitzes from the Washington Redskins. They hand to Falk. He gets only 2.
You know, when you talk about this Washington defense and how they're going to create pressure, I know in talking with Greg Williams, he's not certain that he's got a true pass rusher along that defensive front. But one of the things that he likes to do, he runs very unconventional defenses. He likes a lot of linebackers. They've definitely got depth at linebackers. Chris, you mentioned Marcus Washington along with LeVar Arrington, 2 exceptional pass rushers. They're going to give offenses a lot of different looks, a lot of different personnel groupings to try to confuse the offense.
Showing blitz again. Man, they're all coming, and Tercero, my guy, according to Chris, backs out of there early.
Yeah, you saw Sean
Your guy's
Taylor.
not having a good series here, man.
Ball start, 63 offense, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
Now he's my guy.
All right, I tell you what, I'll give you a mulligan. Pick another guy. Go ahead.
I'm sticking with Tercero. It is typical you to see 3 plays and then bail on somebody.
All right, stay with him.
I'm staying with him.
Okay.
Well, the good news for Tercero is once Orlando Pace, you mentioned earlier all the adjustments that come into play when he shows back up in camp. One of those is Tercero, who's going to be moved to guard.
3rd down and 18. There's another blitz, and the pass is caught by Holt. You talk about knowing exactly where you have to go. Holt made the catch, and now the 2 officials get together and discuss it.
Well, and that's how you beat the blitz, Joe. When teams start bringing pressure as a quarterback, you got to wish that they'll do it. It gives you one-on-one on the outside with these receivers. You've got to be able to drop back and complete these. I'm not sure he's got the right foot in. I think that's what they're questioning right now, whether he drugged the right foot. But great timing by Mark Bulger getting the ball out.
Pass is ruled incomplete. The receiver was bobbling it as he went out of bounds.
The red flag is already on the field.
Yeah, I thought he got his foot down. You could see him drag the toe. The question is, was he bobbling the ball? Well, I didn't see much of a bobble right there.
So we have our first challenge of the night.
He's saying that's why I practice that every day. We do that every day. Catch it, drag your foot.
Well, you can see the frustration on the face of Mike Martz. I mean, forget the offense and the offensive line and the inconsistency so far as we look at it again on the part of the Rams. But the Redskins are doing exactly what the Chiefs did on Monday night, lining up and coming after Bulger. We're in a challenge. We'll take a break. The 3 of us are in agreement in the booth that the right foot tapped in by Torrey Holt before both feet ended up out of bounds. This should be a catch.
Yeah, this was just routine. He goes over to the sidelines. He's got his feet in. Question is, was he bobbling the ball? In my mind, he was not. He had the catch, and then he was securing it into his left arm when he was going out of bounds. I don't know how this was not ruled a reception, but I also know that if there is any discrepancy, the officials are instructed, Chris, to rule it incomplete.
They better rule this one complete.
After reviewing the play on the field, as far as catching the ball, the receiver has the ball in one hand and legally transfers it to the other hand. Gets his left foot down. But there's not visual evidence to show that the right foot gets down before he touches out of bounds. Therefore, the pass is incomplete. St. Louis is charged with their first timeout.
Well, he had a safer and an easier way out to call bobbling the ball, but there's no doubt you can see the shoe, the end of the shoe of Holt bend when he taps it against the turf.
Yeah, there's no question. And one of the major disadvantages for a receiver in that situation of not playing on a grass field is nothing flies up when you drag your toe like that. And so literally you have to be able to see the bend in the shoe. But I agree with you, Joe. I thought you could see it. I thought that was a pretty easy call, and Mike's going to get a giggle out of it and be glad it's preseason and not one that really counts.
Another reason why I don't like instant replay.
Uh-oh, here we go.
You don't believe that. You don't believe that.
That's just an easy call, I think.
Well, we agree, but
Fourth down.
Jerry Austin does not. And they are all over the field judge on the sideline, the St. Louis side, and for good reason. So now a punt from Landeta. Looks pretty. And it ends up into the end zone and out to the 20. It looked good, but not that effective. Redskins get it at their 20, up by 3. 3-0. The Redskins are on top. Before the game tonight, Joe Gibbs came trotting onto the field and gave a hug to one of his dear friends, the great Don Coryell, who is here to be honored at halftime. There's Jim Hanifin on your left, and of course Mike Martz on your right. 4 guys who have all coached here in St. Louis. Joe Gibbs was a coach for Don Coryell with the St. Louis Football Cardinals. Jim Hanifin, a former head coach here in St. Louis, longtime offensive line coach, and Don Coryell is up watching from above as this pass is out of the reach of Thrash. Butler was there defending for St. Louis. You look at Don Coryell in the mid-70s, was here with the St. Louis Cardinals. There's Jim Hart, who filed a 42-27 record. Division titles in 74 and 75. And then 78-83, the San Diego Chargers. And division titles from 79 to 81. And Gibbs was with him out there.
One of the great innovators in this game, no question about it.
2nd down and 10, and this is Rock Cartwright, his first carry, and there's nowhere to go. Lost a yard, and let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Hey, Joe, 2 very important men in this building feel that Don Coryell deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm talking about Mike Martz and Joe Gibbs. They're unabashed in their praise of this guy. They feel like he is the architect of the modern passing game. He wants to be in the Hall, too. I spoke to him before the game. He says he is just honored that these guys like Gibbs and Martz are really making a push for him. He says he feels, though, that other guys deserve to be in there, too. He's a modest man, but a deserving man, Joe.
All right, Pam, 3rd down and 12 for Washington. Ramsey steps up, dumps it off. He hits Morton, and he is way short of a first down.
Well, I agree. I think there's no doubt that Don Coryell should be in the Hall of Fame. You think of the lives that he's affected over the years and the influence that he's made on so many people. Of course, Joe Gibbs and Mike Martz, but it goes even beyond that. I know, you know, Ernie Zampese, the offensive coordinator, of course, Norv Turner, and even my own career was affected by what he was able to do within offensive football and in the 3-digit system. That's what we ran in Dallas, and we're able to win 3 Super Bowls. And what a great job he has done in the influence of the game.
Mike Furry is waiting for this punt from Tom Tupa. And it starts to go backwards, so it was down after a 38-yard punt from Tupa. Patrick Ramsey will try to figure out what happened on that last possession, and we look ahead to Sunday, September 12th. One game you will see, one of many good ones on Fox at opening weekend, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Washington to take on the Redskins. A lot of changes for the Buccaneers, who, let's just put it nicely and say they got a lot more experience over the offseason.
Yeah, especially on that offensive line, but it's going to be weird going and watching the Bucs without John Lynch and Warren Sapp and some of the guys. Definitely a changeover period now for Tampa Bay.
I think there's a little pressure on John Gruden this year, too. He's got his guys in there. He's got his general manager. It'll be interesting to see how they do.
Bulger steps up to throw down the middle, and it is nearly picked off. And if not for a hit from Isaac Bruce on Sean Springs, it might have been. One other note about Don Coryell as we watch the play again is that while most people talk vertical passing game with Don Coryell in 1960, he coached for McKay at USC and was a guy who introduced the I formation at USC. And you think about the 4 Heisman Trophy winners that played there out of that formation, and it's more than just air Coryell.
I'll tell you, in San Diego, but for a 59 below 0 day when we played him in the championship game, he might have taken that Charger team to a Super Bowl and won it too.
2nd down and 10, and wide open is Holt, but it's out of his reach. Bulger had him and could not connect. 3rd and 10.
Well, you watch Torrey Holt, and I tell you what, in my opinion, and it's easy to say, but in my opinion, this is the best wide receiver in football. Last year, he leads the league in receptions as well as yardage, and he just does not appear to be slowing down at all. I just think that he can do everything as far as running routes, his ability to get vertical, coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons, and what a tremendous talent.
Pretty good one in Minnesota too. That guy seems to change more game plans than anybody I've seen in the league. Talking about Randy Moss.
Guy in Indy's pretty good too.
Not bad either.
66 offense, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
That was Dishman. This Rams offensive line is luring guys back out of retirement.
They really are, aren't they?
I mean, they got Dishman, they've got Newton. I think they have a call into Conrad Doble.
I'd like to see that. I'd pay money to watch him again.
You know what it tells you is that it is hard to find offensive linemen in this league. There's all this talk about finding a quarterback. I'm not so sure it's not harder to find quality offensive linemen. That's why they're bringing these guys in from out of retirement.
I know it's hard to find Orlando Pace right now.
Bulger airs it out. Holt is by himself, and it's incomplete.
Well, that's a couple times now that Holt's been running open, and Mark's just not been able to get the ball into his hands.
Boy, Sean Taylor that time got completely turned around. The outstanding rookie for the Washington Redskins just completely lost it, a big loop, and Bulger just completely missed the throw.
Isn't that exactly, Chris, what Greg Williams wanted? I mean, he wanted Sean Taylor to get his comeuppance a little bit in this game and try to knock him down, because he's been so good that they're having to withhold some of the praise that they could heap on him, and he thought that these Rams receivers might run right by him.
And he just did.
That's Morton on the return, Furry on the tackle, a 54-yard punt from the 42-year-old Landetta. The week in review, the Bears acquire AFC sack champ Agunlier from Marty Booker. Welcome to the NFL. When D'Angelo Hall was burned by Randy Moss. Talk about what's going on in Philadelphia as Corral Buckhalter is lost for the year. 3 touchdowns in 1 half for Carson Palmer, and Quincy Carter is now with the New York Jets.
Terrell Owens had another long touchdown catch last night that got called back because of a penalty.
7 seconds remain in this first quarter, and Cartwright gets to the 25. That's it, a gain of 1, and that, ladies and gentlemen, will do it for the first quarter in St. Louis. It's still 3-0, the Redskins on top. This Fox NFL preseason special will continue after these messages. At some point during training camp, Nick Clemens said, wait a minute, I thought I was 72. And Dale Wright said, wait a minute, I thought I was 74. Well, they are, and they're part of the defense for the Washington Redskins. But Kenyatta Jones wears 74, the right tackle for Washington on offense. And 72 is worn by Ray Brown, who for as long as he plays now, for the rest of time, will have his age of 41 attached to his name.
All that tells you is you're not as secured a roster spot when you're sharing a number with someone else.
Did anybody else wear 8 when you were in Dallas?
Everybody wore 8 in Dallas.
Yeah, I mean on the field. Let's go back to Los Angeles and check in with JB for a game break.
Hey, Joe, it'll be a makeshift offensive line for the Giants. Whoever plays quarterback, Kurt Warner, or in this case, Eli Manning, stripped by John Abraham. It's a loose ball until second-year player Omari Lowe picks it up. He takes it 27 yards to pay dirt, and it's the Jets on top by 10. That in the third. Back to Joe.
Old Dave Paycheck Schwabe here. Giants fan is shaking his head thinking, here we go again. The offensive line for the Giants. They're going to have to try and preserve Eli Manning this season. Ramsey fires, and Thrash wasn't even looking for it. And he had a veteran covering him, Aeneas Williams, a 36-year-old.
Yeah, Aeneas Williams obviously moved to safety last year, but on third downs, he comes in and he covers the slot in nickel. And James Thrash thought he was going to get down the field further before the ball was going to be coming his way. But Aeneas Williams, what a talent he is at 36 years old to be able to play safety and still cover usually the best receiver on third downs in that slot position.
But they're not moving him back to corner despite the injury to Travis Fisher. They're giving Kevin Garrett the shot tonight.
Line drive punt from Tupa. This is Furry on the return. And he looked at a wall of Redskins. Only a 3-yard return. The Rams get it back. Top offense coming on, including Steven Jackson for St. Louis. Tomorrow on the Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week, the Giants trying to hang right in there in that wild card chase, as they are looking up right now at the Chicago Cubs. They take on Atlanta. There's also some action for St. Louis. They take on the Pirates. And by the way, for Dodger fans, those in Los Angeles, we'll see a doubleheader at 10 o'clock on Channel 13. You see the Dodgers, and then the Angels at 1 o'clock on Channel 11. Both teams right in the thick of things. First down for St. Louis, and our first look at Steven Jackson. That should be 5 on Washington. Let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Hey, Joe, Arlen Harris had been back getting x-rays on his hands. He's back on the bench now. X-rays came back negative. The diagnosis is sprained left middle finger. Meanwhile, apparently something in the water with that, because Isaac Bruce just went back to the same x-ray room. They're checking out Bruce's right middle index finger. Back here.
First down and 5. That's Steven Jackson. That's their first-round pick, and that's a first down for St. Louis. Howie talked about it in the pregame. You think of Joe Gibbs and the Redskins, you think of a bruising running back like John Riggins. You could see Steven Jackson fitting into Gibbs' style in Washington, and Clinton Portis, a young running back, fitting in better with Mike March and his style with what Marshall Faulk has done over the years here in St. Louis.
Well, you really could. This is what they've got. And Steve Jackson obviously is not going to be able to do all the things that Marshall Faulk can do, but they feel like he can still be a receiving threat and obviously a great runner.
He gets a huge lane to run through, and Jackson in the open field gets out to the 45. 18-yard gain for Jackson.
And he is just now getting comfortable in this offense. In our conversations with Steven Jackson, he said, you know, I'm just now getting to the point where every single time I run a play, I'm not looking over my shoulder to see what I did wrong on that one. And there's no question about it. This guy can run the football. I think the question for Steven Jackson is how quickly can he get indoctrinated in the passing game, both as a protector and running those routes. And, of course, that's always the issue with rookie running backs.
From the Redskin 45, it's first down. Bulger misses another wide open receiver. This time it's Kevin Curtis.
Well, I just don't know that Mark Bulger is completely comfortable, and certainly he's got to be pressing out there a little bit because of how this preseason has gone, particularly last week. And you know, Kevin Curtis coming back from an injury himself, haven't had a lot of time throwing balls to him, but they have had enough here in this preseason that they shouldn't be missing wide open opportunities like that there.
And the protection has not been that bad. I mean, they are doing a decent job up front, so that's not it tonight.
Thanks to Tercero, the right tackle. Jackson this time gets spun down in the backfield. That was Ron Warner, who the Redskins really like, and is playing his way into more playing time for Greg Williams.
You know, and I think, Joe, when you look at the Rams offensively and what they have to do to improve from where they were a year ago, obviously they moved the football pretty effectively, scored points, but what they did not do well is they did not run the ball well. And certainly they don't run the ball as often as what a lot of other teams do, but even when they did, their yards per attempt were down. They've got to be more effective on the limited opportunities that they have when they decide to run.
Third down at 15. Bulger has time, fires high, and the catch is made. First down, Dane Looker. You know, when you talk about Bulger, though, this isn't some kid they're finally handing the keys to the car to. I mean, this is a guy who's 18-4 in the NFL, so that's why the inaccuracy so far in this game alone and the preseason in general has been so surprising.
Not inaccurate on that one, though. That was a cannon shot, and for Dane Looker to go up in that crowd knowing he was going to take a shot, that's what you have to do in this offense. They're going to find those little small gaps, and you're going to get hit as a wide receiver. But well, what an impressive throw that time by Bulger.
Bulger had thrown 5 consecutive incomplete passes, and now a penalty flag comes in.
Has to be.
As Sean McDonald was spun around by Lamar Marshall.
Yeah, pretty easy call there. Lamar Marshall all over the receiver well before that ball got there.
Pass interference, 98 defense, automatic first down.
And you see Sean Taylor, the rookie, coming in. That easy call, yeah. Sean Taylor, the rookie safety, coming in on the blitz. And we're only seeing a little bit of a taste of what Greg Williams wants to do once they get into the regular season as far as their blitz package. But, well, I didn't think coming into this game that he would show as much even as what he has in this game. I thought he'd be a little bit more conservative.
There's Sean Taylor matching up one-on-one with the wideout again.
Toss to Steven Jackson running left, and there's nothing there. Lowers his head and tries to run over Sean Springs, a loss of 2.
And I believe that the Washington Redskins defensively, their first unit, has yet to give up a touchdown so far this preseason.
You're right.
Thank you very much. And that would be a far cry, Mr. Buck, from what they had a season ago. Would you agree with that?
I would.
Well, we're in sync this year.
Last week at Miami, the defense overall allowed only 98 total yards.
Even a graphic. We're rolling, baby.
Oh. 2nd down and 12. Talked about Marshall. He is playing for the injured LeVar Arrington we mentioned at the top. Good protection. Bulger steps up and hits Holt. And he will go down at the 10. And this is getting better for the Rams, and it's getting better guys up front for the St. Louis Rams.
There's no question when Bulger has time to throw the football, he's usually pretty effective. And Torrey Holt does a great job here of pushing the defender, getting up on him, and then snapping it off. And then he immediately shows his numbers to Mark Bulger. He gives him a big target. And as a quarterback, when you've got a clean window like that to throw the football and you got a receiver working back at you, those are easy completions.
I'll tell you the other thing, Joey Goodspeed back at fullback is really making a difference in this protection.
Steven Jackson started right, came back left immediately, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage.
I thought it was interesting talking with Steven Jackson. You say, you know, what's the most difficult part that you've had to learn and adjust to coming in as a rookie? And, you know, at first he talked about the blitz and the hot reads and those types of things within the passing game. But then he's just completely overwhelmed with the number of plays that Mike Martz has in his offense. As a matter of fact, Chris Chandler, who's a 17-year vet, he has talked about how much time he's had to put in. Mike Martz likes to run a lot of plays, and he really stresses these guys mentally.
Steven Jackson running left. Gets down close to the 7.
It was interesting. I was talking with Chris Chandler after practice the other day, and he said, you know, when I get in the game, I just hope that I've run the play that Mike Martz has called once in practice. He said, I have several times in the game been given plays that I have never run a single time during the practice session.
And I think it really hurts the Rams in some respects with free agency. Remember Terrence Wilkins, they couldn't even get him into a huddle because he couldn't figure out the offense that has been built upon every year that Mike Martz has been here.
Can't get in the huddle, you've got some problems.
That's a pretty bad start. Throwing back to the back of the end zone, touchdown.
Uh-oh, that could be a taunt right there.
And the flags come flying. Yep. Torrey Holt on a 7-yard touchdown completion, and I guess it's worth the dance for Torrey Holt. He didn't slow down when he saw the flag.
Well, it was a great route that time by Torrey Holt, working towards the sideline, and then he just looped back around.
Number 81 offense. The score counts. Penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
And Ralph Brown just completely lost on that one. But watch this. He spins it right in his face as he's down on the ground, and that is going to be called every single time from here on out.
Yeah, that was where the penalty came from, is when he spun the ball right in his face. The dance itself, although not real pretty, that wouldn't have brought the flag.
What do you mean not real pretty?
Huh?
That comment should come from somebody who can dance, and I'm going to guess that you can't dance.
Well, apparently Torrey Holt can't dance either.
Oh, come on.
Show him, Troy. Go ahead, man. Give him a little bit.
And that little guy ends up with the ball. Holt gets a dance. The Redskins get 15 yards.
There's your music.
And everybody comes up high-fiving. Kid looks thrilled, doesn't he?
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by the next Ford F-150, 2004 Motor Trend Truck of the Year, by AOL 9.0, now with top speed technology, and by Aquafina. Make your body happy. Drink more water.
There's the dance. And then a moment of goodness. Torrey Holt, kid's wearing the Holt jersey, and he will go home with a souvenir.
When you get that tongue sticking out of a little kid like that, you know it's good.
And because of the dance and the spinning the ball in the face of Brown, Wilkins has to kick off from the 15. Still gets it pretty good. Down to the 15-yard line with Morton returning. And well covered downfield.
Great.
Out to the 31. So Holt got to dance, he got the penalty, and the Redskins don't get that great a field position after all. 7-3 St. Louis. Rams are all smiles after that 7-yard touchdown catch by Torrey Holt, and Mark Bulger was staring into the eyes of many defenders.
As they come like they're free chicken wings or something. Everybody after the quarterback. Check this one out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All getting after him. Bulger's hanging in there pretty good, though.
Did you have to deal with that, Troy, when you signed your first big deal? I mean, I'm sure you got big money coming out of college, but it would be only natural for a guy like Bulger to feel the pressure of A, replacing Kurt Warner, who was beloved here, and B, trying to live up to a huge new contract.
And C was at UCLA.
Well, you know, I think
I
think he is feeling it.
I
I don't think there's any question that that Mark Bulger is feeling some of that pressure. And as good as he played last year, and Kurt Warner was not the guy, he signed a big contract. Expectations are high, and quite honestly, there's some people that thought that Kurt should have been back, and this is going to be a huge blow to the Washington Redskins. They're already without John Jansen, their right tackle, and boy, you just hate to see something like this happen, and you hope that he's going to be okay and nothing too serious.
Talking with Joe Bugle before the game, and of course Joe Gibbs so concerned. Already lost one of their star tackles, and just so excited about the way that Chris Samuels has come to work this season. Just thought that he really had put forth an effort that they hadn't seen before and was having an outstanding camp, and so much was now being placed on his shoulders because now they're having to slide the line away from Chris Samuels. He had to be the one-on-one blocker, and that would really be devastating for the Redskins if he were seriously hurt.
See Cartwright end up on the back of the left leg of Samuels. Good play by Thomas to drag down Cartwright. Loss of 1. Let's go out to JB for a game break.
Hey, Joe, a good thing that Brett Favre has a short memory. Having thrown a pick earlier, take a look at this play action. Hooking up with Robert Ferguson, 52-yard pass play. Never too early to see a pretty one from Brett Favre. They're on top of Jacksonville in the second. 7-3 back to the Bagpipers.
Johnny Bagpipes Jr. Timeout is called for by Washington. And while they're out on the field, this offense, I'm sure their thoughts are on the health of Chris Samuels. 7-3 Rams. They are looking at the outside of the right foot and the right ankle of Chris Samuels over on the bench for the Redskins. He's had 10 guys during the break go over and ask him if he's okay. Joe Bugle is going to earn his money this year, already having lost Jansen. Now they hope they don't have to replace Samuels. 3rd down and 11. And the pass is behind Morton. Let's go back to that injury on the part of Chris Samuels.
Well, you can see Rock Cartwright with the ball, and he comes down on his right ankle there with his helmet. Joe Bugle, knowing that he's already lost his right tackle, and boy, this was a strength of this team coming into this season, the offensive line. But man, preseason.
Best punt so far from Tupa. Furry waits for it and has it. And gets close to the 35-yard line. Let's go down to the field and check in with Pam Oliver.
Hey, Joe, Chris Samuels, after being helped off the field, the trainers immediately removed the tape and the shoe on his right foot. Right now, they're putting some ice on it. The Redskins preliminarily are saying that he's got a sprained right ankle. Obviously won't return tonight.
I think everybody believed that Samuels would take that next step under the tutelage of Joe Bugle. And then you think of the other side and all the offensive line questions for the Rams. They're going to miss one of the best to ever coach the offensive line, and that's Jim Hannafin, who retired after last year. Chris Chandler takes over at quarterback for the Rams. And the handoff is to Steven Jackson, who did not pick up any yardage on that carry. So I think we've seen a couple of things. Obviously, every Washington Redskins fan is wondering about Samuels and about his health. And on the other side, we've seen the offensive line for St. Louis get it together a little bit. And that was a good last drive they put together.
Yeah, and it's going to take some time. I know that oftentimes there's so much pressure placed on a ball club going into this third preseason game, but you know, they can't read too much into it. There's still going to be a lot of football left to play. There's going to be a lot of practices left between now and when they open up the season. And let's be honest, this Rams offensive line right now is a work in progress.
Chandler fires, and it's Holt with a catch for a first down. Good throw by Chandler, and a year later there is nothing wrong with Torrey Holt. He has been eye-popping already tonight.
He really has, Joe. I'm surprised that he's still in the ball game, to be honest with you. He's gotten in, he's gotten his work done, he's made some big plays and some nice catches, doing a great job of running routes. And you know, one great thing, Chris Chandler's sure happy that he's out there on the field right now. When you're able to get out on the field as a 17-year vet and you've got quality receivers, it sure makes it easier for you.
It's first down, and it's Steven Jackson over the right side. I think only because, Chris, Orlando Pace is such a good guy and his teammates truly respect him and like him. Are the Rams even willing to put up with this year after year of having to go through training camp and then the entire preseason of not having that rock over at left tackle, having to shift everybody around, and then whenever he decides he's going to show up, or the Poston brothers say, okay, enough time's passed, then they've got to shift everybody around again to get ready for the start of the regular year.
Well, that franchise tag has really been a thorn in the side of a lot of players. You think of Walter Jones, a great tackle out in Seattle as well, and does basically the same thing every year.
That is beautifully played by Smoot. Got his hand up and broke it up, that attempt for Holt.
But you also have to think about in terms of Orlando and what happens. You know, there are so few opportunities to get leverage if you're in that position. The franchise player and the tag put on you and the whole thing. And right now, I've got to think the Rams are a little desperate to get him back. If they would ever consider doing a long-term contract and give him the big signing bonus and all those things that are a possibility, with the shape of this offensive line right now, you'd have to think that now might be that opportunity.
On third down, the pass is nearly picked off. The deal is, though, with the way the rules are in the NFL, they have to get him signed as the franchise player, get him in, then they can take that tag off him as they sign him to a new long-term deal. If they do it while he's the franchise player, then they lose the ability to tag anybody as a franchise player throughout the life of that contract.
Yeah, and the one-year contract that he's going to sign is going to be for $7 million. So it just comes down to whenever Orlando decides that, okay, I'm ready now to come in and participate, then he'll sign. But it certainly is putting a lot of people at risk because of the changes they've had to make.
That is as good as it gets from Landeta, who is pleading with the guys downfield to get on it.
You know, but I'm sure Orlando right now is thinking, you know what, oh, fine, I'll be your franchise tag, but give me some assurances that you're finally going to begin to negotiate with me. And I'm sure it's not going to be anything written down, but he's looking for something that's, I'm not going to be the franchise guy forever, because it is. The guaranteed money in football comes from those big signing bonuses, and I'm sure he's looking for something in the range of 18 to 20 million.
Well, and that's what happened last year. I'm sure he signed the, he signed in the one-year tender, and I'm sure he was told that we'll work on a long-term deal. It didn't happen. They franchised him again this year. So, yeah, I've got to believe that the reason he's not here, you'd hope that the reason he's not here is because he's not been given assurances that when he does sign the one-year tender, that they will, in fact, tear it up and then do an extended deal.
Well, it didn't happen because, at least in some part, as Jacobs makes the catch down the field and loses the football. Aeneas Williams on the return. That was Garrett, who was downfield. He was beaten on the play, but Garrett knocked it out of the arms of Taylor Jacobs, and the Rams come away with the ball.
And that is no accident right there. We were watching the Rams practice the other day, and even as receivers are running back to the huddle with the football, these defensive backs come up behind them, try and swat the ball away. They're constantly working on it. And Garrett, even though he gets beat on the play, his head's up enough to make a play and get the ball back for his team.
Yeah, that's the good news, that he was able to make the play, because he got beat off the line of scrimmage. Certainly that's not what you want to have happen as a corner, but he kept playing, kept fighting, was able to knock the ball loose, didn't give up on the play.
One last point about pace as the Rams are back on offense. And Chandler fires to the sideline for Curtis, incomplete. A big reason why there's no long-term deal in place is because of an unrealistic, borderline ridiculous signing bonus request from the Postons to get Pace signed to a long-term contract. So you can want to do it as the Rams. They have every incentive to do it. He's one of the best left tackles in the game. But if he wants a $25 million signing bonus and won't budge off that, you have to be at least somewhat cost conservative in this day and age of a salary cap.
Well, and let's also point out that the Postons represent Julian Peterson
and Charles Woodson. Steven Jackson on delivery day for the running back out of Oregon State. Already making friends in the stands, and he is a good one. And I think he has, aside from what you talked about, Troy, with the 7-on-7 time and not rehabbing, I think he's been even more impressive than they would have hoped.
Oh, I absolutely agree. You know, he is not. What's going to happen is when he finally gets a chance to go out and play, he's going to always be compared to the skills of Marshall Faulk, and they're really different running backs, as we touched on a little bit earlier. He does not have great speed, but he's got good enough speed, and he's really a power runner, but he catches the ball well. The big thing right now for him is to be able to pick up the blocking schemes within this offense.
3rd down and 2 for the Redskins, and Ramsey is running out of time to impress. That's Chad Morton, and it's time for a Redskins punt.
Well, I tell you, I have been impressed with the defense of the Rams. After watching this Redskins offense a week ago against the Miami Dolphins, they were beginning to look like the Redskins of old with the way they were running the football and overpowering people, but we are seeing the speed and quickness of this Rams defense getting the penetration and causing all kinds of problems for this running game.
Washington without Jansen, Randy Thomas, and Samuels. The Rams taking advantage. 2-minute warning in St. Louis.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by Visa, proud sponsor of the NFL.
Visa halftime report coming up in a couple of minutes on the game clock. First half analysis, Giants and Jets highlights. Highlights from around the NFL with other preseason games.
How about the 10 yards with TB? We're going to get another one of those. That was classic.
We just got a taste last week.
That was classic.
We may have to wait till week 1. This is Mike Furry, who is taking over the punt returning duties for St. Louis, and he gets out to the 16. Good punt by Tupel, well covered by the Redskins. And Chris Chandler will head back to the field.
And he's still got Torrey Holt in there, and some of these #1 guys, some of the younger receivers as well. See what he can do now in the 2-minute offense. And you know, Chris Chandler, he was with Mike Martz the last time he was with the Rams. Mike Martz.
5 yards. Replay 4th down.
We had an ineligible man downfield, so we get to watch another punt.
Mike March was Chris Chandler's quarterback coach in '94 when Chris Chandler played here for the Rams. Of course, they were the Los Angeles Rams at the time.
That was their last year in 1994.
I asked Chris after that practice session, I said, how much you think you're going to play? And he said, hopefully not very much. This is my 68th preseason game. 68 preseason games, and he had a pulled glute, so I think he was a little sore.
He's actually got a sore arm as well, and actually got sore from lifting weights. I didn't even know quarterbacks lifted weights, Chris.
I know receivers.
I think they're putting. Yeah. You couldn't tell by looking at you.
I buffed up a little this year now. Give me a little credit.
Waiting for it is McDonald after a 48-yard punt, and the Rams will have it at their own 21. The best fantasy football games are on foxsports.com, on MSN. Log on to play now. And by the way, foxsports.com and MSN joined up. Foxsports.com was not even on the radar screen, and it's vaulted all the way to the #2 sports site on the internet.
Who's your #1 pick this year, Joe? I know
for fantasy football.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Randy Moss.
Scott Tercero, the right tackle for the Rams. Can you pick offensive linemen?
Sure. We'd like to invite you in our league, as a matter of fact, if you're going to do that.
Arlen Harris gets 2 over the left side. I would probably go with Randy Moss.
Would you?
Yeah.
Dante Culpepper. See, he's so excited about being the #1 pick. Tercero is. He had to use a smelling salt.
2nd down and 8, and a combination of Chandler and Holt has been impressive.
I think the combination of Holt and anybody's impressive.
Yep. Led the NFL in catches and receiving yards last year. Blitz coming. Rams pick it up, and hey, it's Torrey Holt, who's having an all-world preseason game.
Well, he really is. I tell you, great job by the offensive line there for the Rams. Washington, out of a no-huddle situation, goes to the blitz. They were able to pick it up. Torrey Holt one-on-one outside makes the play.
Greg Randall is taken over at right tackle. We saw Tercero on the bench, and Chandler kills the clock. 36 seconds remaining.
Torrey Holt has just been wearing out Fred Smoot tonight, and a lot of pressure on these 2 cornerbacks, Sean Springs and Fred Smoot. Now that Champ Bailey's with Denver, there'll be all kinds of attention. And Greg Williams admitted it in our conversation last night. He said those 2 guys have to make plays because we like to bring 8, 9 down in the box, bring a lot of pressure. But if our corners don't hold up, we can't use our scheme the way we like it.
Smoot looks worn out. On 2nd down and 10. Chandler with plenty of time airs it out. Holt is the intended receiver, and that's picked off by Taylor. Laterals to Lott, and Lott is down just outside the 2. That is 3 preseason interceptions for Sean Taylor, who is rapidly making a name for himself.
Well, watch Sean Taylor. He's the half safety right here, and it looked like they had a chance down the field for the receiver. You're going to see the kind of range that Sean Taylor has getting clear across the field to make the play, and that was an easy play for him to make. Normally, that safety is not going to be able to cover that kind of ground. And talking with Greg Williams, he said it is amazing what this kid is able to do and the amount of ground that he can cover from back there in that deep safety position.
And I'll say one other thing, the anticipation. He really broke on that ball. Andre Lott was completely beaten. The other safety turned around and not looking good. And boy, you have the eraser on the other side, Sean Taylor. What an impressive rookie he is.
6'2", 230. They asked him to lose 8 pounds coming into camp. He has incredible size, great quickness, and as we just saw, verification of those great hands. That's the end of the first half here in St. Louis. 14-3, the Rams are on top. Visa halftime show is coming up. JB, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy are getting powdered and getting ready to go under those bright lights in Los Angeles. That's right after these words from your local Fox station.
Is brought to you by Visa, proud sponsor of the NFL.
Solid first half for Mark Bulger and the Rams. Mark Bulger with his only touchdown toss of the half. This a hookup with Torrey Holt. Torrey Holt's touchdown catch helping St. Louis to enjoy a 14-3 lead over Washington at the half. As we welcome you back to Studio A here in Los Angeles, California. Full house indeed. Bulger looks solid. Patrick Ramsey fighting for the starting job in Washington. Jimmy, how did he do?
JB, I think most people felt like that Mark Brunell was going to be the starting quarterback for the Washington Redskins and had an edge up on Patrick Ramsey. Ramsey could have made a race of it if he'd have played really well in this first half. I don't think he did that. I think he took a step backwards. 5 for 10, 81 yards. He missed some throws. Really did not get the offense to going. I think Mark Brunell will definitely be the starting quarterback for the Redskins.
Unless he plays bad in the second half.
Nah, he'll just avoid the mistakes. That's all he's got to do in the second half.
Both of these guys have problems in the offensive line. Samuels and Jansen, Pace and Turley. And you look at Pace, he's sitting out for the second year in a row. Walter Jones sitting out for the third year in a row up in Seattle. You know, supply and demand dictates that a left tackle gets a lot of money. Everybody wants Jonathan Ogden money. Here's the problem. Jonathan Ogden is here. The next best guy is here. I paid Jonathan Ogden the $19, $20, $22 million up front. I don't know if I pay the other guys $22 million up front.
All right, a lot of money in New York at the quarterback spot. That would be Eli Manning. He has made a number of mistakes that is, but it was Kurt Warner getting the start.
It's not about the money, it's about the rings, and Kurt Warner has the rings. Hard for me to believe that this guy, a two-time league MVP and a Super Bowl champion, would have to fight for a job. But there you see Ron Dane, 20 pounds lighter. It's an early touchdown, a 9-yard run. Then Manning gets in there, rolls right. Donnie Abraham picks it off, 7. It's 10-7 Jets. Once again, Manning stepping up. This isn't his fault. Ball is knocked loose. Omari Lowe scoops it up and takes it 27 yards. Get on in the end zone. There it is. Looking good. 17-7. Jets over the Giants. Vikings hosting San Fran. Randy Moss looking on is Dante Culpepper. Hooks up Nate Burleson. Nice job there. Breaks loose. 17-yard score. 7-0 Vikings. Then Dante Culpepper. Talked to him the other day at training camp. One of my many stops. Guy looked impressive. Kelly Campbell. Where'd he go to school, fellas? Who? That's what I thought. 26-yard score. Touchdown. PAT no good. 13-0. Let's go Green Bay. Jacksonville. Favre intercepted. Two in the first half. This one the ball was intercepted by Donovan Darius, that is. And then Favre on play action. 52-yarder to Robert Ferguson off the post route. And there you have it. Three Bears and the Saints. That's not much, is it? That's exciting. And this isn't much either. I'm glad I'm not at this game. Houston and Denver. And then Georgia Tech running back is now with the Houston team. Tony Hollins ran the left end, 27-yard score, 7-0. Houston over Denver.
Well, you're pretty tough in the preseason, aren't you? My goodness.
Yeah, preseason, I am not much.
All right, well, here's some NFL news to pass along to you. Deion Sanders plans on returning to the NFL next Wednesday. Deion was on my Sporting News radio show this morning, and he gave a number of indications that he will indeed make a comeback with the Baltimore Ravens. Just minutes ago, I and our new NFL insider, Jay Glazer, confirmed that Sanders plans on joining the Ravens on Wednesday, and then he will travel to New York with his new team on Thursday for a preseason game against the Giants. Sanders has been working out twice a day. He's been clocked at 4.38 in the 40.
By who?
He hopes to be ready to play by week 2 of the regular season. Florida State track coach, Mr. Shaw, indeed.
Did you call him just a while ago?
Yeah, just a little bit ago.
You just called him?
Absolutely.
Well, welcome back, Deion.
Some of you folks will be going to local news. Others will be coming back with us right after these messages. He's coming back. He'll be back next Wednesday.
Visa, proud sponsor of the NFL. This is a Fox 5 News halftime report.
Welcome to the Fox 5 halftime report. We're going to return you to the game in just a minute, but first we want to take a look at tonight's headlines. There is a health alert in College Park tonight after a mysterious illness makes dozens of people from the University of Maryland sick. It is happening at the American Center for Physics in College Park. Officials say nearly 60 people from the University School of Architecture were at a staff retreat there when they suddenly became violently ill. Health investigators are now searching for the cause.
A new FBI warning Starting tonight, Al-Qaeda may be looking to target Veterans Affairs hospitals. The warning follows reports of suspicious activity at Bethesda Naval Hospital and a facility in Aurora, Colorado. Tonight, VA hospitals around the country are on alert. Officials say they could be targeted because they're associated with the military, but they don't have the same security as a base. Police and security officials are keeping an eye out for suspicious activity.
Baseball fans are keeping an eye out, watching and waiting to see if our region will land a Major League Baseball team. Tonight, the gloves are off and the backbiting has begun. D.C. and Northern Virginia each battling each other along with 4 other cities to become the home of the new Montreal Expos. New polls out show both D.C. and Northern Virginia residents want their team in their own backyards. But as the final decision draws near, some D.C. officials are lashing out, making it clear they think Virginia is an obvious wrong choice.
We'll have more on those stories, your complete forecast, and all the day's news.
Coming right up after the game. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
It's a 14-3 score as we get ready to begin the second half of play in St. Louis. An orthodontist or a dentist must be the general manager of this Pee Wee League. Look at all these mouth guards. The NFL and USA Football have designated next week as the inaugural Play Football Week to salute all participants in youth and high school football as they begin their seasons. Here in St. Louis tonight, members of every youth football team showed their best moves during scrimmages. That looks like little Jack Collinsworth.
He's going out there. I like the mouthpieces hanging out. They look like those little party favors, you know. You go and blow the thing out there.
You coached a little youth football.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I already stole a couple of the Redskins plays watching film today.
You call the plays?
Yeah, but they almost fired me last year.
I was going to say, are they scoring any points?
Yeah, well, last year they did. We're still working on it this year. The NFL really does a great job with that. They contribute a lot of money to youth football.
Furry on the return gets to the 29 and then heads backward. We came on the air, guys, talking about a couple of main points. Troy, I'll save you for a moment. I asked you at the beginning, how good are the Rams anymore? And if you looked at their preseason up to this point, you wondered. That first half was pretty good.
Yeah, it really was. And Mark Bulger and especially that offensive line sort of reestablished themselves, I thought. There's just a little magic for this team, especially offensively in this building. When they get back in here, they get very comfortable. Kansas City blitzed them so hard a week ago that I just don't think they were quite ready for it.
The other point was about the 2 quarterbacks for Washington. We saw plenty of Ramsey, played the entire first half, and really didn't distinguish himself by doing anything spectacular. In fact, missed a couple of wide open receivers, and I think he has to look at that as a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I think so. And I agree with what Jimmy Johnson said there at halftime, was that, you know, he really needed to come in and just have an exceptional ball game in that first half. And, you know, he played okay, but he missed some throws, and it just was not the level of play probably than what Joe Gibbs wanted to see. I'd be very surprised if Mark Brunell is not the quarterback for this Redskin team on opening day.
He just has to par in from here, doesn't he? Doesn't have to do anything spectacular, just par in.
That's right, well said. 2nd down and 7. Up to the 35 goes Steven Jackson. And let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Hey, Joe, a little good news for Redskins fans. They can breathe a little easier. Chris Samuels left in the second quarter, hobbled off the field. Well, at halftime, the Redskins performed an X-ray on Samuels' right ankle, and those X-rays were negative.
That's great news for Washington.
You know, the only tough thing about that is the tackle on that backside is that right foot is his push-off foot. So when you're trying to pass protect, that's the one that you have to stick in the ground and really drive off. So it's not going to be easy, even with a sprained ankle.
However, if Brunell's a quarterback, a lefty, he's on the front side.
Well, and that's right. With Brunell, if he in fact is the starter, then the loss of John Jansen is a huge blow because he's protecting his blind side. And you know, those tackles are hard to replace. And if nothing else happens good for the Washington Redskins here tonight, it's great news.
On the defensive left end, 5 yards. The result of the penalty is a first down.
So now a mistake by the Redskins defense. Saw a lot of that from St. Louis early in the game. And the opening day starting quarterbacks, if you project Brunell as the guy this year, that'll be 5 years, 5 different guys.
Well, it's not surprising why the Redskins have struggled in recent years. Right there you see the number of quarterbacks that have started each season. They've had 5 different defensive coordinators. over the last 5 years. You've got to create some stability in order to start building a program.
Chandler drops it off. Jackson out of the backfield. Got 3.
Chandler's come in here and played pretty well tonight, too. I don't know what I was totally expecting, but with some of the injuries and the way he got knocked around a season ago in Chicago, he's come in and really established himself as the backup quarterback tonight. Mark Bolger had a great night. Looked solid. Stop all the talk radio talk and just settle in and play ball now.
2nd down and 7. Jackson getting a lot of work. Coming up to make the play was Ade Jamo, a cornerback. No gain on the play. That'll bring up 3rd down.
Looks like Tom Newton may have sprained his ankle out there trying to come back, unretire. As I've seen a couple of guys with this Rams offensive line, and just have to wonder just how ready he was to go out there and play tonight. And that's not going to make it any easier.
Well, they are just so thin along that offensive line, and I know Mike Martz has tried to put a good face on it and remain very optimistic about Chris Dishman and the job that he feels that he can do. And of course, Andy McCollum having to move from guard where he played last year back to center where he had been playing. Tom Newton just getting back on the squad and had been retired. But you start losing more and more of those players, and there's just nobody that can step in, and it desperately affects what you try to do on the offensive side of the ball.
Just so you know, Dan Deerdorf lives in St. Louis.
And is lacing them up right now.
Deerdorf and Conrad Dobler.
Yeah, Dobler's in Kansas City. That is a tremendous catch by Curtis. A penalty flag back near Chandler. And it's a hold against the Rams. What a catch by Curtis.
Number 77 of the offense, 10 yards, repeat 3rd down.
It's Grant Williams, who is playing on a sprained ankle.
Yeah, and that probably is what's led to him holding on this play. Anytime you can't move your feet to get into position, then all of a sudden you start using your hands and grabbing people. You can see there he had to reach out to get him. And then Kevin Curtis on the other end. And this is a guy who they've been expecting some big things from. He had a good preseason last year and then got hurt. Broke his fibula, missed most of the season. And they think that he can be a big contributor to this football team. Tremendous speed on the outside.
It has not been a good night for the corners, though, of the Washington Redskins. Ralph Brown's had a tough night, too.
3rd down and 17. A blitz again from Washington. This one is for Looker, and a penalty flag comes in on that play. That's back in the secondary. And this is against Washington.
Illegal contact. Number 25 of the defense. 5 yards. Automatic 1st down.
Here's the new stress in the rules as they try to enforce that more and more. And on what, 3rd and 17? That's a killer penalty if this were the regular season.
Oh, it is. And I think the one team that's going to benefit the most by this new emphasis is the St. Louis Rams. When you've got speed receivers like they've got, and Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, and then along with these younger guys, Mike Furry here, they're the ones that are going to benefit. If you can't come up and jam them, of course, this year they're down the field, and boy, they're watching it closely. You can't get away with very much now.
Quick throw and out of the reach of Curtis. The killer part of that whole thing, Chris, and we talked about it a little bit last week in Carolina, is the automatic 1st down portion of it. And we also talked about double moves and putting so much stress on these defensive backs to try to stay with these speedy wide receivers.
And I really think that there are so many offenses that are holding their cards close to the vest right now. They just are not showing anything they're going to do during the regular season. I assure you, Joe Gibbs is as basic as he can possibly be with this offense right now. They'll have a few surprises for Tampa Bay.
That's McDonald as Chandler drops it in perfectly. 32-yard completion to Sean McDonald.
Well, as disappointed as Mike Martz was last week in their efforts against Kansas City, he's got to be awfully pleased with what's happened here tonight. And Sean McDonald, another young receiver fighting for a spot, and This wide receiver group for the Rams, they've got a lot of depth, a lot of speed, but they've also got a lot of depth. Some young players are going to help contribute throughout this season.
A deep crossing route, and that route right there, one of the bread and butter plays for this Rams offense. Just surprising more teams don't run that.
McDonald spit his mouth guard out after making that catch. Those kids wouldn't like that. Jackson out of the backfield. Gain of 7. How about 17 first downs tonight? And just over 2 quarters of play for the Rams.
You know, I've got a feeling, Joe, that, you know, as much as coaches will say we don't game plan in the preseason, you know, everybody always kind of points to that third preseason game when they want to do better. And based on all the blitzes and everything that the Rams saw last week, I have a feeling that March spent a little bit of time preparing themselves and getting ready in the event that they saw some of the blitzes, which they have against this Redskin group.
Just out of survival more than anything, trying to keep these guys healthy. These guys meaning Bulger and Chandler. Another completion, the 18th first down. It's Mike Furry. How good does Chandler look?
Well, I'll tell you what, you go to Chris Chandler. I mean, Chris Chandler is a 58% completion passer throughout his career. He's completed over 70% here in preseason and probably throwing the ball as well as he ever has. And nice job getting outside the pocket. A lot of that has to do with what he's doing within this system. When you've got a guy like Mike Martz calling plays and getting guys open, then it comes down to just getting a little protection, which is what he's getting now.
Jackson down close to the 5.
But you know, with Chris Chandler, the question has never been his ability to throw the football. It's his ability to stay healthy, to take a hit. And now in the backup role, hopefully not having to play very much at all and being able to mentor Mark Bulger a little bit. A great situation for Mark Bulger, especially in light of losing Kurt Warner and his knowledge of this offense. Just looks like he's going to fit in nicely around here.
2nd down and 4. Rams can't get a first down without getting a touchdown. Handoff is to Jackson, trying to bounce outside. Jackson shows some speed. Touchdown. So much for just being a big bruiser.
No, you're right. And I mentioned earlier that he doesn't have the speed of a Marshall Faulk, but he does have enough speed, as we well saw there. He starts it up inside, but yet he was able to get out on the corner. That's not real easy to do when you're down here in the red zone area. The defense definitely has angles on you. Good job setting it up, starting inside, sees his space on the outside, and then just outruns everybody to the corner.
How patient was that for a first-year player who was ready to bang it up inside and then said, I'll try out here.
You know, and I think for Marshall Faulk, he's anxious to have somebody take some of the load. You know, Marshall last year missed those 5 games, and he's been battling knee injuries for quite a few years now. To have Steven Jackson come in and take a few of the carries doesn't bother him at all.
Steven Jackson getting more and more comfortable understanding this offense, letting his abilities take over. He's into the end zone. It's 21-3.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by Miller. Vote Miller for President of Beers. Good call.
Gateway to the West, kids. The St. Louis Arch.
You're ever going to take us for a little tour up there? I'd like to go to the top of the arch.
It is not the most comfortable ride to the top, but it's fun once you get up there.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a little cramped, but worth the trip. Under 9 to go in this 3rd quarter, and Gary Scott will return his first of the night for the Redskins. And that was a good play, saving a big return by Brian Howard. An 18-yard return. Here comes Mark Brunell. His chance now in the 2nd half. Mark Brunell, who is in his 11th season, takes over now, calling the signals for Joe Gibbs, who calls the plays. His words, with a lot of help from the guys around him. And it's first down for the Redskins from their own 25. Starts with a throw, and it's an easy one to Rock Cartwright. Initial contact made by Pauly. Gain of 7.
Well, Mark Brunell knew that when Byron Leftwich was drafted in Jacksonville, that the only way that he kept his job was to win games and stay healthy. And in his words, he said, I didn't either. After 3 games, he hurt his elbow and really didn't have much of a chance whatsoever to work his way back in.
Signed a 7-year, $43 million deal with the Redskins. That's Rock Cartwright. Some of the kids still having fun. They were on the field at halftime playing football. Now sitting, standing, dancing. Rock Cartwright got up and jogged off the field. He got crunched on that last play, so Sultan McCullough takes over. And on 2nd and short, Taylor Jacobs makes the catch and is eventually brought down after picking up a first down. A special guest with Pam Oliver.
Yeah, and he's Marshall Falk, Joe. Marshall, tell me, after some limited action tonight, what are some of the things you're looking forward to as the season draws near?
Nothing, just getting into the floor of things, get my run reads. It's a little different in practice. And when you come out here in the game, everything's live, getting tackled, getting the feel for that again, and just learning some of the new linemen that we have and going over some of the new plays that we have.
A lot of people want to know, will Marshall still be Marshall? What's the answer to that?
I can't change my name.
Very funny.
You know, I feel like I can still do the things that I used to be able to do. I've had injuries, and you know, I've still been able to play with those injuries, but I haven't been able to do the things that I was capable of. Being healthy, I'm looking forward to having a great year and going out there and doing the things that I've always been able to do.
Okay, thanks a lot, Marshall. On that note, we're going to go to break. We'll be back in St. Louis right after this.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. By new M3 Power from Gillette. Feel the power of the world's best shave. And by PlayStation 2. Live in your world, play in ours.
Had a little communication problem. That was the reason for the timeout. And Mark Brunell, his communication system wasn't working in his helmet, so he just took Patrick Ramsey's.
Patrick said, you want mine?
Ugh.
After I played a half already?
Brunell's going to air it out over the middle, and he hits his man. That's Taylor Jacobs again, and a first down inside the Ram 35.
All right, was he aiming for Taylor Jacobs?
Yeah, I think that he was, but he didn't get it out there. If he gets the ball out there further, Taylor Jacobs is able to make this catch. And actually, he might even go for a touchdown.
They threw a penalty flag on the play. It's a hold to bring this back.
I don't know. He might.
I don't know either.
Now, see, that Joe Gibbs, he is smart. He's got him so good. You can overthrow one and still complete a pass.
They got Dockery, number 66, on a hold. He didn't do anything. May have been somebody else. They called 66, and I am declaring him innocent.
Judge Joe.
What a good play. Sultan McCullough. A pickup of only 2. Eric Flowers, who's a guy that the Rams really hope will step up and really fill a need for this Rams along their defensive front.
Yeah, and I think he will. Eric Flowers, of course, their first-round pick, or third-round pick, excuse me, Anthony Hargrove. And I think that defensive front for the Rams is going to be a better group than what they were a year ago.
Second down and 18. Brunell drops it off. McCullough, and a good open field tackle. That was Nigel Eason, and a gain of only 4, and Eason had to make a good stop, and he did.
One thing that definitely carries over from the Lovie Smith days, the hustle that this team has. I mean, they are built for speed. They are built to run and play. And the only time I really see the Rams get in trouble is when they're on the field, a 10, 12 play drive, and they just get tired and they can't hustle and sprint to the ball the way that they normally do.
Third down and 14. And Brunell is going to run. And he's not going to make it. 2 yards shy of a first down. A A gain of 12. He needed 14, and there was pressure by Eric Flowers again.
I tell you, Brunel, he actually still moves pretty good. You remember back in the early days, a few years back, when Jacksonville was going to the championship games and stuff, that was a real weapon for Mark Brunel, was his ability to run. Can't run quite like he used to, but still able to get out and make some things happen.
Larry Marmee is a defensive coordinator and has to be somewhat pleased with the way his group has played tonight. That's McDonald, just happy to get it back in his arms. A 1-yard return after a 44-yard punt. 21-3. The Rams are on top. Brunel had a long completion erased because of a hold in front of him. And now he's doing most of the talking in that little huddle with Hasselbeck and Ramsey. 21-3, St. Louis on top, and Chandler still in the game.
And the coach in that picture was Coy Gibbs. A big reason why Joe Gibbs is back. Coy wanted to get into coaching, and Joe said, all right, let's go.
Rams still airing it out. This is Curtis, and they're going to throw a flag on that all year. Bowen comes away with his palms to the sky, and this will be against Washington.
And that was an easy call, Joe, on Matt Bowen. He made contact with him, redirected the receiver as he's trying to get back to the ball. And if you're an offensive coordinator, you just keep throwing these types of passes.
Automatic first down.
You saw the hands in the back, and I tell you, a lot of defenders, especially safeties, are not used to playing the ball when it's in the air like that. They start looking for the receiver rather than the ball. You should see more and more of these offensive coordinators calling these passes down the field if, in fact, they're going to continue to call illegal contact as they have in the preseason.
If they continue to call it, there will be nobody happier on the face of the earth than Mike Martz. 36-yard penalty, and now Steven Jackson. Great blocking in front of him down to the 35. From St. Louis to California, here's JB with a game break.
All right, Joe, one of the most talented teams in the league. Indeed, the New Orleans Saints need to be more consistent. J.T. O'Sullivan handing off to Deuce McAllister, 8 yards to pay dirt. New Orleans on top of Chicago at the half by 7. Let's take it back out to the talented Joe Buck.
All right, JB. Thank you, by the way. Thanks. That was unexpected. 4.5 remaining in this third quarter. That's the team that everybody forgets about in the South, New Orleans.
Yeah, you're right.
That's McDonald. He is left alone. Jamo let him go, and McDonald is in for the touchdown. Dwayne Walker and Steve Jackson, who coached the secondary for the Redskins, are going to have a long week of practice in front of them, trying to figure out what the heck happened here in St. Louis.
Well, I can tell you right now, Joe, that if you let these guys run off the ball without any contact within the first 5 yards, you're putting these defensive backs into a tremendous bind. We've already seen throughout tonight, whether it was with the first group and Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt, or with this group here with Sean McDonald, you cannot let speed come off the ball like that at the wide receiver position and think that you're going to be able to stop him.
And even though McDonald's not a big guy, he went right through Ralph Brown, who missed a chance at a tackle to save the touchdown.
You think the name Champ Bailey might get tossed around a little bit this week in Washington? Certainly tremendous to get a guy like Clinton Portis, but they gave up the cornerstone for this secondary. He was the Deion Sanders. He was the guy that you put on the best receiver and then play the other 10 with your guys. Tough night tonight for these Redskins defensive backs.
Talk about the NFC's dark horses this year. The Redskins were 5-11 a year ago, but now Joe Gibbs is back, 3-time Super Bowl champ. And Clinton Portis is there to help them. 5-11 last year with the Lions. Roy Williams and Kevin Jones, the Falcons, under Jim Mora Jr. And what can Denny Green do in the desert with a team that was 4-12 a year ago? They have to hope that Larry Fitzgerald is as good as advertised.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play this year. You know, of course, Dennis Green and the type of coach that he has shown to be over the years, and a lot of people excited, I know, in Arizona, and there's not been a lot of reason to get excited there for quite some time, but a lot of people feel that Dennis Green's going to be able to be the guy to come in here and get the whole attitude changed there in Arizona.
Well, they've not shown it so far this year, though. It's been a struggle, and it's going to be for a while.
You ever seen saran wrap on a roller like that? Oh, what a block. I mean, they are just pounding each other on these kick returns. That was Gary Scott on the return, and he had this wedge out in front of him.
You got hogs and dirt bags and everything leading this wedge right up the field, and they're dropping off. But the Rams have been charged up this entire game from the beginning. And I have to say that watching the Redskins tonight, it's almost from the time that Chris Samuels got injured. I don't know if they just pulled all their guys off the field, but there's just been a huge difference in this football team from that moment on.
Well, the beauty of preseason is there's always an easy excuse to fall back on, and if you're the Washington Redskins, I'm sure they'll point to that. But defensively, they were picked apart, especially with their secondary by Bulger and now Chandler. First down for Washington, and the handoff to McCullough. A nice run by Sultan. He's got a first down. One of sports' most respected reporters returns to FSN head-to-head with James Brown. JB visits with Packers quarterback Brett Favre to find out what motivates him to keep gunning for another title. Plus, Jake Glazer gets the work out of his life with Bears linebacker Brian Urlacher. Head-to-head with James Brown next weekend only on FSN. Gary Scott, the intended receiver, incomplete.
JB has another show?
Another show.
There must be two of him.
You know, I saw a show that JB did.
Oh, don't go there.
With
don't go there.
With animals?
With animals, yeah.
And was there someone else in that?
There was somebody else there hosting it.
Oh,
can't remember.
It was JB's idea.
The Animal Olympics. That pass is caught by Scott. And that'll bring up third down and 5.
See Mark Brunell huddling them up, and you know, when you look at this Redskin offense and you say, what are they going to do that's different from what they did back when Joe Gibbs was here originally? And the answer to that really is they're not going to do a whole lot differently. He has certain principles that he believes in, and he's going to stick to that. He's going to run the counter gaps. He's going to run the play action stuff. He's going to protect the quarterback as best that he can. There are some things, however, that he is not showing. He's extremely basic right now, so I don't know that we can draw any real conclusions as to what's happening with his team tonight, because he is keeping a lot under his vest.
On third down and 5, pass is caught by McCants. Nice grab and a first down at the 41.
And that's one route you will see from the Washington Redskins over and over and over, is that option route with the wide receiver. You think back to Art Monk, he caught over 800 passes in his career, probably half of them were on this route right here. They run a lot of, they don't run so many plays as much as they run a lot of different formations for those plays and give them a lot of different looks. That option route to the wide receiver is one of them.
McCullough over the right side, and he is dragged down by Howard.
You know, one of the really tough things, though, for the Washington Redskins is they're so offensive line dependent. In other words, the coordination of those guys up front, they're always pulling guards and tackles and moving people, and it just takes a lot of time together to get that coordination going. And there have been so many injuries now with John Jansen and Chris Samuels, and it just has not gone the way that I'm sure Joe Gibbs would have hoped at this point in the season, because those guys need time to gel together.
Second down and 7. That's through the hands of Royal, the tight end. A minute 40 remains in this third quarter, and it's now 3rd and 7.
And one of the things we haven't really talked about much within the offense is the tight end and the H-back. Those two positions really are somewhat interchangeable. The tight end in this offense is the conventional tight end. The H-back takes the place of the fullback, but so much of what they do within this offense is depending on getting quality play from those two positions. They're expecting a lot also out of Robert Royal.
Here comes a blitz. 3rd down and 7. Jackson with pressure. He was held. And a penalty flag comes in as Brunel throws it away. Tyoka Jackson came right up the gut, and he was held. But they'll decline the penalty with 4th down coming up.
Holding, 52 of the offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
Look at Chad Morton, though, stepping up in there. One of the smallest guys on the field, 5'8", and around 200 pounds, jumping up there and picking up the blitz. That's awfully impressive by a little guy.
He blocked another little guy.
Well, that's impressive little guys.
A couple little guys battling it out.
McDonald lets it go over his head and into the end zone. So much of Joe Gibbs' philosophy goes back to his time at San Diego State playing for a guy named Don Coryell. Not only played there, but then coached there for Coryell from 64 to 66. Coach Coryell's offensive line during a period when the team won 27 of 31 games. 11-0 in 66, and there is John Madden, who was the defensive coordinator there in 64 and 65.
He looks serious there, doesn't he?
Very serious.
A little Ditkin look, maybe. Andy Reid, who do you think?
I see a lot of Andy Reid there.
Yeah.
This is Jeff Smoker at quarterback, and again it's Steven Jackson who's getting a world of experience. And a gain of 8 on that 1st down carry. And Jackson saying he can't stop him. Can't stop JB with a game break.
Hey, Joe, I think Seattle is a team that Chris Collinsworth is expecting could go all the way. Here, Matt Hasselbeck hooking up with Darrell Jackson, a 4-yard strike. Seattle on top of, well, I guess we still can't say half of San Diego, 7-0. Not sure what that move was. Troy Aikman out on the dance floor, maybe. Hey, back to Joe Buck.
That's the sprinkler right there, isn't it?
Sprinkler, yeah. 2nd down and 2. Smoker played collegiately at Michigan State. Steven Jackson is getting ready for the season. He is out to the 30. And it depends on the spot, and they're saying it's enough for a 1st down. And with that, the Rams can let the 3rd quarter expire if they wish.
JB was talking about my naming a front runner. I think I've named about 8 front runners in the NFC so far. I really believe that's so incredibly wide open this year. I know a lot of people like Philadelphia. They're picking them as the favorite, but boy, you look around, there's only about 3 or 4 teams that I can really eliminate from contention.
Who are they?
I'm going to think about that, and I'll tell you when we come back.
Arizona, they have a shot.
Arizona be 1. Chicago.
It's the end of the 3rd quarter.
San Francisco.
Good work. There's the score, 28-3. Back after this from your local Fox station. All Rams all the time tonight. At this point, no matter who's out on the field or who's a quarterback, Bulger got it together. Chandler's been very good, and now the Rams are interested to see what their 6th round pick Jeff Smoker can do. Play action, and Smoker found a surprise waiting for him. He also gets a completion to Dane Looker.
So what he better do first is get his head turned around when he's coming around on the naked boot. He was pretty lackadaisical when he made the turn.
He's going for the big fake.
I tell you get hit
big
one time under the chin, you'll get your head around real quick next time.
There's our game summary. Chris Samuels had to leave with an ankle injury. The x-rays, as Pam reported, were negative. Patrick Ramsey 5 out of 10. Torrey Holt had a tremendous 1st half. Made some tough catches within those 7. 2nd down and 2. Jackson. Another 1st down for the Rams. Let's go back down to the field and again say hi to Pam.
Here with the smiling Torrey Holt at that. And Torrey, tell us a little bit about what you expect from the Rams. How good is this team going to be this year?
You know, like I said earlier, I think we can be as good as we want to be. It's just a matter of us staying healthy. It's a matter of us coming out like we did tonight with a great deal of enthusiasm. I think last week against the Chiefs was good for us. We got embarrassed. We didn't compete. We didn't play as well as we wanted to. So tonight we wanted to come out with a little bit more intensity, a little bit more energy, having some fun, and that's what we was able to do. So to answer the question, I think we can be as good as we want to be as long as we stay healthy, as long as we keep that swag and enthusiasm.
And you know there's some grumbling about your quarterback. What are some of the things you think that Mark Bulger may need to improve upon as the season begins?
I think he can continue to get better with his reads. I think he can continue to get better with his throws. Just something I talked to him. He said he was a little happy feet in the pocket there the first couple of series, and he settled down as we went. But you know, the sky's the limit for him. He can continue to get better at everything. We all can get better as a football team, and we will.
Yeah. Stop that taunting, by the way. That was ugly too.
I'm just trying to get that. I'm just trying to get the energy back here. That's all.
There you go. We're feeling it. Thank you.
Right.
Back up to Joe.
All right, Pam, thanks. Sure, for the Rams, it was worth it after finally breaking into the end zone. As a delayed handoff goes to Steven Jackson, penalty flags fly. Jackson got 9.
I'll tell you, Steven Jackson hasn't lacked any work here tonight.
Holding, 65 offense, 10 yards, repeat second down.
That was the reaction from Greg Randall, who was surprised that his name was called. Or did they say 65? If it's 65, it's King. And it was King that was surprised, not Randall. There's Randall next to him. Digital cameras, they're all the rage. Troy, do you have one?
I do. I absolutely do. That's my new hobby right now, photography. If you're not careful, I'll start bringing it into the booth. I know you wouldn't want that.
Second down and 20.
Is there a gadget you don't have? Seriously.
I think the world should know how electronically gifted Troy Aikman is. Don't you, Chris? I mean, all that Troy's able to do with the computers and the charts and the graphs and the perfect handwriting and the thank you notes. I mean, you just don't make me feel good as a man. I feel like I don't measure up.
No, you measure up completely.
The handwriting is amazing.
It is.
It really is.
Unbelievable.
You represent us all with that handwriting.
You like that?
It is.
Look at that.
It's phenomenal.
Show them your boards, Joe.
You could do like wedding things and invitations to parties.
Calligraphy.
Yeah, that was the word I was looking for. Thanks.
Third down and 15. Pass is complete. Furry tried to break it for a first down, but was dragged down on the play. He scans his board, trying to find 37. It's Rufus Brown. Here's another game break from JB.
Hey, Joe, it may not be all dismal for Chicago this season. Adrian Peterson fighting for a running job. Good hard run there for a score for the Bears as he knots it up in Chi-Town at 10. You know what? Have you guys seen Terry Bradshaw's handwriting at all?
No.
You don't want to?
No.
Yes.
Terry's dyslexic, isn't he?
That's taken at the 15 by Gary Scott. And he is out to the 25. They're still hitting down there. They're not quitting. Don't you quit on us, people. It's 28-3, the Rams on top.
This Fox NFL special is brought to you by Saturn, People First. By Wendy's Classic Hamburgers, it's better here. And by NHTSA, law enforcement is cracking down from coast to coast. You drink and drive, you lose.
That's got to be the Soulard area, downtown St. Louis. Little St. Louis Blues. 28-3 with 11:47 remaining in this fourth quarter.
You ever go down there, Joe?
I do. I haven't been down in a while, but I have been down there, yes. As a younger man, Troy.
How about these heroes? Doing some pretty good stuff around the world right now, aren't they?
And right now enjoying the Rams and the Redskins. Rams are having the most fun tonight as Hasselbeck takes over at quarterback, and that was broken up by Cody. Russell, the intended receiver. How about a recap? How did we get to this? There's the injury to Samuels. X-rays negative on that right ankle. Ramsey missed some open men. Frustration on the sideline. Mark Bulger didn't miss Holt. He didn't miss a chance to taunt. Steven Jackson turned on the Jets. They have really run a lot for Steven Jackson tonight. To wonder if his night may be over. Second down and 10 for Tim Hasselbeck. That ball is batted down. And again, we call the name of Nigel Eason, who made a good open field tackle. Now comes off the corner and bats it away. 3rd and 10.
Yeah, you get to this point in the ball game right now, and there are a lot of guys out there that aren't exactly household names, but sometimes the intensity of the football game actually picks up, because these guys right here know that cut down day, one of them is Tuesday, and jobs are on the line for the next 11:37.
Rosters have to be down to 65 by the 31st of August and down to 53 on September 5th. Whoa. Morton out of the backfield, and a good open field tackle by Trev Falk.
Boy.
4th down and 2. Somebody got enveloped by a blocker.
I think it was Pita Elisera on the outside pulling out in front of that play, just buried one of the Rams. They're out there. I'm telling you, there's only about 7 or 8 offensive linemen that are going to make this team, and Elisera, that was his opportunity to be out there on the field.
Kevin Stemke now. Left-footed punter gets off the best punt of the night. McDonald on the return. Gets pulled down from behind. That was Clifton Smith on the tackle. A 57-yard punt from Kevin Stemke. And the Rams get it back.
Pita Elisera is going to pull out and fight for a job right here. So he comes around the corner and finds somebody small. Look out.
That's Nigel Eason.
Yeah, he's just trying to live through the next play.
Oh, that's helmet to helmet and bloody nose, and we're playing out here.
I guess that's not a defenseless player, huh?
No.
Steven Jackson continues to stay busy. This is a guy whose knee is not 100% healthy, trying to rehab it over the offseason, and he's definitely been impressive. You have to be, I guess, somewhat surprised that they're still running him out there.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's out there playing. As you mentioned, still not completely 100%, but I know that the Rams have gotten some good news. Lamar Gordon, who's missed the last 3 weeks, he's had some surgery on his ankle, an injury that's been bothering him for quite some time. He's going to be coming back hopefully next week, and they feel like he's going to be a great addition to this team. He's basically been playing in pain for about 2 years because of this injury.
Steven Jackson right up the middle.
I think Mike Martz is saying you'll rehab that knee next time before you get in here, or wear you out.
For special offers for fantasy football, go to NFL.com. Marshall Falk, who will tutor Steven Jackson this season to eventually be his replacement, is just hanging out watching.
Yeah, I visited with Marshall Falk before the game and talking with him, and I tell you, if anybody that I know that currently plays that could go into coaching right away, he's the guy. He was really impressive, talking about defensive theory and assignments and all the things that go with it. Real impressive.
How about that play? McDonald came flying down the line and took the quick handoff from Smoker and got a first down. That's showing something here in the 3rd preseason game, that you can make a case you want to keep closer to the vest.
Well, I think sometimes coaches, and Mike Martz maybe in particular, they like to throw a few things out there just to add to the defensive game plan. Give them one more thing they have to work on during the course of the week for opening day. Just sort of present a variety of options for those defensive coordinators.
This Rams team will start at home against Arizona, go to Atlanta, host the Saints, go to San Francisco, and then it gets tough. Steven Jackson over the right side. Just like those backs, and every time they get into one of those piles, the pile goes forward, and they get that extra 1.5 yards.
Yeah, and I know one of the things that Mike Martz wanted to see from Steven Jackson, I guess once they got to training camp and Marshall Falk was there and he started practicing, he really felt that Steven Jackson had kind of taken some steps back because of Marshall's presence and just didn't compete at the level that he really wanted him to. So I think part of this tonight is getting Steven Jackson to understand that, one, he has to compete, and also that he's going to be a guy that has to be able to contribute, especially with the injuries that Marshall Falk has suffered here over the past 2 seasons.
2nd down and 4, another first down, and he lowers his shoulder and runs right over Ryan Clark, a gain of 14.
I know Clinton Portis last week was complaining about the fact that he had 7 straight carries. I wonder what Steven Jackson's going to think after this game, as many carries as he's now had.
I think he's having fun out there. You know, now he's getting a chance to do what he did in college and run the football and get comfortable in this offense. And well, I'll tell you, it's a nice asset. Wouldn't be surprised. Maybe he gets a few opportunities if they're ahead in the ball game and trying to run out the clock. What he's been doing has been impressive.
Up over 100 yards for the night. Yeah, Clinton Portis, who either half jokingly or half seriously complained about 7 consecutive carries in last week's victory in Miami. He was surprised to get the ball 7 consecutive plays. You kind of get the feeling that Steven Jackson is going to love this action.
Yeah, I would think so. And if Clinton Portis, I mean, hey, they said they're going to try to keep him fresh as best they can. But you know that in a Joe Gibbs offense, he's going to be getting some carries. You know, he averaged about 17 carries a game while he was with Denver. I would think that he could expect 22 to 25 here with Washington.
I don't think Joe Gibbs was worried about protecting. Here's Jackson again. What a night. Just able to hang on to the football. Clemens on the tackle. I don't think Gibbs had to worry about protecting Riggins or George Rogers or any of those guys. Just going to be, I would imagine, something new for him if he's going to try to take some of the pounding away from Clinton Portis.
You had to protect people from John Riggins.
Gibbs has already said that Clinton Portis' tongue's going to be hanging out. So what does that tell you? I tell you, for all those Dallas Cowboy fans that are out there watching this, they've got to be wondering.
I was thinking
Dallas,
the same thing.
Dallas had an opportunity to take Steven Jackson and decided to trade out, and a lot of people questioned that move. And right now they've got to be wondering if that was the right move based on what we're seeing here tonight.
He really does look like a Parcells kind of back, doesn't he? I mean, just the
shifting, change of direction for a big guy.
They'll get a little of that from Eddie George, though, this season. Same kind of guy.
Only a little more
older.
wear on the tires.
Yeah, I think they're hoping to get it from Julius Jones.
That's 5 carries in a row for Steven Jackson, and these fans
ovation.
Appreciate that.
That ought to make him feel good.
He's going to take the helmet off, take a knee, though.
Marshall was right there to say, good job, young man.
He's saying, Doc, hide. Don't let him find you.
This is Arlen Harris, who's probably been thinking, hey, what about me?
Yeah, hey, I'm here.
Where'd I go? Loss of 3 on the play. Week 1 in the NFL on Fox. The Buccaneers will be at the Redskins. Lions, Bears, Seahawks, Saints, Cardinals here in St. Louis, and then late some good games. Falcons at the 49ers as Jim Mora Jr. goes back to take on San Francisco, and I guess you would term it the big one late with the Giants visiting Philadelphia. And we'll get an early look at Terrell Owens and the combination with Donovan McNabb and that Jimmy Johnson defense coming after either Warner or Manning.
I'll tell you, the one that I'm interested in is the Minnesota-Dallas Cowboy game. There are so many changes and new looks, and especially with Vinny Testaverde now at the quarterback position in Dallas, and with all that Minnesota can do with Randy Moss and Dante Culpepper and Michael Bennett on the offensive side scoring so many points, if their defense can just get to average, I mean, if they're just in the middle of the pack, you've got to think that team that won 9 games a season ago has a real shot, and they have some guys on that team now, E.J. Henderson and Kevin Williams and Antoine Winfield, and I think they're going to make a jump defensively.
435 total yards of offense tonight from the Rams. Arlen Harris cuts it up and picks up a few.
Well, we've talked about it. You come out here in this 3rd preseason game, and you're going to be playing your starters for the most extensive time of preseason. I know that this group, along with the coaching staff, especially Mike March, has got to be real pleased with the way they've come out and responded.
We will take a break. Redskins take over. Nice shot of downtown St. Louis, the old courthouse, Keener Plaza. 28-3.
Place about the size of Joe Buck's basement right there.
Oh, just save it. The king of Covington or wherever you live. Fort something.
You're sensitive about that, aren't you?
He's a little uptight. He really is.
That was Sultan McCullough on the carry over the left side, a gain of 3. We told you what the Rams have staring at them first few weeks of the season. How about the Redskins? They host Tampa Bay. They go to the Giants, host Dallas, at Cleveland, and host Deion Sanders and the Baltimore Ravens.
They need to win early with that schedule. Those are beatable teams for this team.
2nd down and 7. It's McCullough with a 1st down. You're not shocked, are you, that Deion's coming back?
No, I'm not. I thought all along, once it first was rumored that he might do it, that he would in fact come back and play. I think that if he had still had a TV job, I don't think he would have entertained the idea. But you know, as he said, when he got out of television, he got out of football, and he really wants to get back in. He still feels like he can play. I'm anxious to see how he does.
Rams have to spend a timeout. 2:28 to go in this one. And the Rams are leading by 25. Jay Glazer and JB said that Deion Sanders is coming back. So if that's the case, Aeneas Williams at that point will no longer be the oldest defensive player in the NFL.
Key there, defensive. A lot of older offensive players in the league.
Because you can always include kickers and punters.
And Jerry Rice.
Ray Brown.
McCullough gets on top of it as we approach the
Tim Brown
2-minute warning.
Vinny Testaverde.
Morton Anderson.
We're gripping right now.
Sean Landetta.
That is dropped off to McCullough, and he gets hit by Brandon Spoon, who the Rams wanted to get a good look at tonight. 2 minutes left in St. Louis as we peek under the desk and look at the feet of Chris Collinsworth, who decided to wear red toenail polish tonight. Chris, you look great. 28-3.
Right. That doesn't match your suit.
It's a 28-3 game with 2 minutes left. If you have a flat screen, you are enjoying the sight of Dave Paycheck Schwabe, Ed Svita, and Steve Horn. But if you have just the regular old TV, it's just the 3 of us. We're the only ones in the booth tonight.
If I could get my foot up that high, I'd show you that wasn't my shoe.
2 minutes to go in this one. And a little hand checking going on. Jonathan Brewer, the intended receiver, and Eason again. Rams are looking for cornerbacks, and Nigel Eason has had a decent game tonight.
Other than when he got blown up over there on the sideline.
Well, I mean, that just comes from being smaller than the gigantic Pita Elisara. Secondary, though, Troy, is a question mark, to be sure, for the Rams going into the regular season, especially after losing Fisher.
Yeah, I think that it is. And I know that Larry Marmee, the defensive coordinator, wants to play a little bit more cover 3 and get Archuleta down in the box. But, boy, that puts a lot of pressure on those corners.
4th down and 5. Hasselbeck fires, and the catch is made for a 1st down. Gary Scott with Tony Newsom there to make the stop.
A little surprised at the play of the Redskins tonight. They looked so good against the Dolphins and looked like they were really catching on to that offense of Joe Gibbs. And
what does it say about the Dolphins?
That I don't even want to think about.
Hasselbeck has to scramble for a few.
Chris, I know we were talking a little bit about it, and you know, I'm with you. I still think that this Redskin team is going to surprise a lot of people. You look at them, and you know, the easy thing to do is to look back to last year and what happened with them. But then when you really break the team down and you start looking at their positions, it's a pretty formidable group. You know, they've got a chance to win a lot of games.
And I think the biggest improvement on the defensive side, of course, Clinton Portis coming over on offense, but we have yet to see LeVar Arrington, Philip Daniels, Cornelius Griffin, Joe Salavea, Ronaldo Wynn, and Mike Barrow all on the field at the same time. I mean, we just don't know what this defense is going to do during the course of the season, and provided they're all healthy, we'll probably see them for the first time on opening day.
Well, and I think it's also really safe to say that what we've witnessed here tonight and in their previous preseason games is not even close to what we're going to see when they open up against Tampa Bay.
The Redskins weren't set when they snapped the ball, so a penalty flag comes in, and that'll cost Hasselbeck and the Redskins 5 yards. Question marks around the league. For the Eagles, can Andy Reid coexist with Terrell Owens? For the Bucs, will their total makeover return the Bucs to the NFL's elite? 7 new offensive starters. Will Michael Vick avoid injury in Atlanta? And with Quincy Carter gone, how will the quarterback situation shake out in Dallas? You look at Drew Henson, who could not make it with the Yankees, and now he's trying to make it with the Cowboys.
A lot of optimism right now in Atlanta, obviously, with Jim Mora taking over as the head coach. But, well, I don't know that there's any player in this league that's more valuable to their team than what Michael Vick is. And that was certainly demonstrated last year with his injury. They just need to keep him healthy.
3rd down and 8. Hasselbeck steps up and fires right through the waiting arms of Cliff Russell. It's hard to believe he missed that altogether. But he did, and it's 4th and 8.
I guarantee you, John Gruden right now is going back and totally ignoring what the Washington Redskins are doing in this game, and he's going back and studying Greg Williams and what he did with the Buffalo Bills at the end of last season, because I'm sure he's thinking that that's what we're going to see. We're not going to see this base vanilla defense that they've been playing out here.
Well, that, and I guarantee you, Monty Kiffin, the defensive coordinator for Tampa, he's going to go back and put on some tape from 91 and 92 of the Redskins offense, and the same things that they did then are working now in the National Football League.
Sultan McCullough is well covered up, and that will give the ball back to the Rams, and in essence end a long night of football. Tonight's game is being produced by Richie Zients, directed by Artie Kempner. Technical producers Dave Hill, production coordinator is John Ward, technical director is Rich Basili, and the audio mixer is Fred Aldis. The associate directors are Greg Scopatoni and Derek Manning. Broadcast associates are Judy Huang, Jeremy Green. The senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown, and the executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. Kneel down time. And they hold the play clock.
Good job.
Meaning that this game is over. We have seen our last snap of the night. So Mike Martz can celebrate, even though it is a preseason victory. The Rams had lost 9 of their last 10 preseason games, and coming off a dismantling on Monday night in Kansas City, this one has to feel good. Joe Gibbs and Mike Martz wish each other good luck for the regular season. And this is Joe Buck for Troy Aikman, Chris Collinsworth, and Pam Oliver. So long from St. Louis. Once again, the final score is a lot to a little. Up next, the postgame show with JB, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy right after these words. For more information on tonight's game and the latest NFL news, log on to foxsports.com. See ya.